This is one of the fastest telescopes in the world, and it is forbidden. It will not be sold in the US or UK, and that's for good reason. I've had to purchase this from a Chinese website called AliExpress. A telescope like this for under £500 is completely unheard of. It had the potential to be a game changer, but unfortunately it never even got the chance to reach the market. In today's episode, I'm going to be showcasing you the fantastic things that this telescope is capable of, such as giving you a live view of deep sky objects such as the Andromeda Galaxy. It can also take some pretty special images and do some other very cool things. I'm also going to be explaining in detail as to why this is expected to not hit the market. And to be fair, I think some of the reasons are very well justified. I'm Damon Scotting, and this is Astronomical. Right, so the setup that I have with me right now is an AM5 mount, the Skywatcher HAC125. Obviously that's what this review is about, but then inside it, I can't just put any plain old camera. I have to use what is known as a lipstick camera. This is due to the fact that if you use other types of cameras, it obscures more and more of the actual telescope view, and therefore it means you're letting less light in. Traditionally with Newtonian telescopes, you'll have a secondary mirror that's placed somewhere around this point within inside the telescope, and then you'll have your eyepiece coming out just here. Now that's good. That means if you're looking into the telescope, you're taking images, you're not blocking any of the light coming in. Whereas this design has a very obvious flaw, and that is that you're obstructing your view. Right, before I get too deep into the bad parts of the Skywatcher HAC125, allow me to demonstrate why this scope has the potential to be the best telescope ever made. What you're seeing right now is live footage captured with the telescope. Live. This right here is practically as close as it gets to what these objects will look like when viewed through a telescope. The only difference is I've boosted the saturation a little, and you're not having to squint with one eye in order to focus on viewing the object. Not only is this an incredible viewing experience, it allows you to capture what's happening around the object in real time. What I mean by that is that more and more often our images are spoiled by these bright streaks of light passing through them. These are most often caused by satellites, but what was once an annoying interference has now become an exciting spectacle. It's kind of like a meteor shower, only far more abundant. To add an extra layer of depth to your observations, you can open up your sky atlas, such as Stellarium, and locate your current target to see what satellite it was that just passed by. In the rare case, it may have actually been several human beings that just zipped past aboard the International Space Station. So here we have the fastest telescope in the galaxy, bringing the light from deep sky wonders to us in a dramatic fashion. But there is a reason telescope companies rarely go for this design, and here's why. This is a 13-minute stacked image of the Seven Sisters. Now I thoroughly expect your viewing experience of these images to go from wow to oh, never mind, to holy sh**. This image was unguided. In fact, I actually reduced the exposures all the way down to 15 seconds. That's for two reasons. Number one, the telescope could handle it. Even at short enough exposures such as this, it made light work. Number two, my stars kept appearing to trail. The truth was that even at 2 minutes long exposures, they still had the exact same shape. And that is due to the design of the telescope. I really cannot emphasize this enough, but the collimation of this telescope is a gigantic pain in the arse. Star shapes like this are going to be unavoidable, and nobody wants this. It's such a huge shame because otherwise, the level of detail the scope picks up in under 15 minutes is very impressive. If only there was a way to correct the star shape. Well, there is an effective editing cheat code that many astrophotographers have been utilizing for the last few years, and that is the BlurX tool by Russell Croman. This tool helps to remove the blur in your images caused by bad optics and atmospheric disturbance. Prepare yourself for the ridiculous transformation that's about to occur. I don't think that there are many more sets of images on the planet that are more perfectly designed to be enhanced by this tool. It turns each of them into works of art. You see, this is what gets me excited about a telescope, especially at its super low price. The cheapest RASA telescope you can buy is at least £2,000. RASA telescopes have a similarly fast focal ratio. You can actually convert Schmidt-Cassegrain telescopes into RASAs through the help of a tool known as a hyperstar. So perhaps you're watching this video about the Skywatcher HAC125 available for under £500 and thinking, nah, why not just go for the Celestron 6-inch SCT and slap on a hyperstar? Like this guy here. Well, it's a fair point, except for the fact that the hyperstar alone can cost significantly more than the Skywatcher HAC125. And that's before you even purchased a telescope to go with it. As it currently stands, the only place I'm confident any of you watching this can reliably get this telescope from is AliExpress. This is where I purchased mine from, and as of right now, they do currently have big Black Friday promotion sales, which means you can get this telescope for even cheaper. Just keep your eye out for the postage and custom fees. So it's undeniable that the speed of this telescope is impressive. Achieving views like this for under £500 is astonishing. But with that being said, unless your collimation is perfect, then the images produced are horrific. Unless you use deconvolution tools that bring the star shapes back around to the normal standard. Now, although this is a very common editing method, would you consider this to be cheating? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. So we've seen what makes this scope so special and why you should buy it, but let's finish off with why you really shouldn't. So one of the biggest issues as to why it's not going to hit the market is because it's very finicky. The use of lipstick cameras makes it very restrictive. It's very susceptible to building up dew on the secondary mirror just here, and also adjusting the primary mirror at the back has been a nightmare. It feels like it's pretty much impossible to get a completely uniform flat image across the board. There always seems to be a slight distortion in my star shapes due to the fact that I can't perfectly align this. So it's been very frustrating, but with that being said, all of it's been worth it because I thoroughly enjoy this telescope and the things that I've been capable of doing with it. In fact, in a future video, I'm going to be showcasing you guys my observatory setup, and I've been doing something very cool with this particular setup, which I'm going to wait to show you in a future video. Actually, I've had a change of heart since filming this review video. I am going to give you a sneak peek into one of my upcoming videos titled The Best/Worst Observatory Ever. And this is because I've got a long list of videos that I need to release before this one, so make sure you have the bell notification turned on in order to hear about it once it does become visible. I've tried my best to make a warm feeling setup in my garden on a very limited budget, since traditional observatories cost an arm and a leg and have their own long list of pros and cons. What's extra unique about my setup is that I have one rig designated for astro imaging, you know, long exposure images, and the other specifically for live viewing of the night sky, which constitutes anything from the moon to the Andromeda galaxy. In fact, I figured out a simple method to execute a sequence of targets on the Skywatcher HAC125 at the start of my session, so every few minutes it zips between a new deep sky target. This is really fun because half the time I don't know what it's looking at, which is quite exciting. My main focus most nights is taking actual images with my telescope. Most recently, telescopes that I've been sent to complete a review on before Christmas. But having the Skywatcher HAC125 in the background is a game changer and makes the whole experience a lot more exciting. In my upcoming video, I explore a lot of different accessories that make my own observatory the perfect stargazing experience, as well as the limiting factors that can really hamper the observations. I'm excited to share this all with you, but as for now, let's focus on this clever little scope. So if you're interested in Skywatcher HAC125 and you want to purchase one for yourself, then I've included a product link in the description below. It is an international website, meaning it ships to pretty much everywhere worldwide. Fair warning, you are going to have to deal with custom charges. These vary depending on what country you live in. Thanks for watching, I'm David Scossing, and this was Astronomical.